Alright guys, it's Chatterbox Reviews, coming at you guys with my review for Succession Season 2, Episode 1. Alright, so I'm excited to be back for Succession Season 2. I was really looking forward to this season after Season 1, and I know it's becoming almost cliche. I've seen like everybody say the same thing, but I'm honestly in the same boat. Season 1 really surprised me, and I really enjoyed the first season of this one. And I even made my review up on the channel here, if you want to go back and check that one out, for the premiere. So Season 1, Episode 1, and I wouldn't say I was negative, but I definitely had some problems with it. I didn't think it was that good of a show, and I didn't know where they would really take this. But let me tell you, I mean, around episode 4 or 5, I think from there, they just consistently got better and better and better until that finale and just blew everything out of the water and really elevated the show for me. So one of my favorite shows of last year for sure. And just objectively, I think one of the best, made shows last year. And obviously, it's gotten nominated for Best Drama at the Emmys. So we'll have to see how it does in September. But just really looking forward to this season. And then you see some reviews out there of people who have seen the whole season already saying that it's better than season 1. So it's like, I'm here for it, man, I'm really looking forward to this one. And this premiere did not disappoint. This one really set up some great things for this season. And I think it was much better than the series premiere last season's premiere. I think this was a much better episode. And really they know kind of where they're going with it. They know the tone they're going for. And once they figured that out, and that's what I think happened around episode 4 and 5, once they've figured that out and now they're just running with it, it's just so awesome. So anyways, I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts on this episode. What do you think of the premiere, and where do you think this season is then going to go forward? I'm really looking forward to it, and looking forward to discuss with you guys as well. Going to be doing reviews and recaps, a little bit of both in these for each episode of the season, so please stay tuned if you're interested in that. And yeah, for sure, leave your comments, leave your thoughts about it for sure. But if you like this review, please leave a like and consider subscribing to the channel as well. Would really appreciate that. All right, so without any further ado, let's get into a little bit of a recap. Then I'll go with my rating, favorite characters, some more overall thoughts and predictions as to what we might see going forward in this season of Succession. All right, so this one picks up right where we left off. Which is basically Kendall and the whole car accident. He kind of bends the knee, if you will, to Logan as Logan kind of blackmails him. Not, officially or not formally, but Kendall obviously recognizes the situation, and he's just really shaken up over the whole thing. So he's not ready to orchestrate a takeover deal, which is what he was going for originally, right? So anyway, so we see Kendall is picked up and taken to a studio to do a television interview, supporting his dad and announcing his backing out of the takeover deal. Which again, as I said, was all because of Logan's blackmail with that car accident in London at the end of last season. So, and that one really just blew everybody's mind, I think, right? Especially mine. I did not see that type of thing coming in the finale last season, and it really does set up such a good story for this season and such a good arc for Kendall's character as well. That's something that is going to be really cool to explore. And we already see that just in the first few minutes of this, right? So he's picked up from this spa that he's kind of relaxing at. He's taken to the studio to this TV interview supporting his dad. And we just see like how shaken up he is, and and how just almost in a state of shock still after the events of what happened. He's still quite not quite himself here for sure. So anyways, we see that he's accepted back for now by Logan, who then asks Kendall as he comes in to the office to tell him all the stuff that he told Sandy and Stewie on the other side of the takeover deal, which will help Logan shut them down, right? Essentially giving them some inside information. We see Logan calls Kendall the double agent here. That was really great. And then we also get like a really great line, maybe the best of the episode, where Logan says, you see this, guys, like this is the one thing that my son has done right in his life, in his entire life, or something like that, when they're watching the TV interview there. So that was really great. Just some really, really great lines in this one as well. But that was definitely one of the best, along with the double agent. And it really is, like, Kendall is really now a double agent because he almost, like, he backstabs Logan in the beginning, right, to join the takeover deal. And then he totally backstabs Stewie in particular, but also Sandy as well. And now is back with Logan, and now he's able to tell him some information about what they discussed and what their plans were. So, kind of an interesting dynamic here. And then later we see Greg. This is the best. So later we see Greg bring Kendall some coke as he's still coping with the accident. He brings some like cocaine that he bought from the park from some random guy. Kendall says the worst cocaine he's ever had and stuff like this. So just a hilarious scene, but it also shows where Kendall is right now. Not ready to go back to work. Still obviously coping with what happened, and obviously his feelings of guilt. I would think. Would kind of be the main thing that he's facing right now, and obviously that cocaine. He says that he needs a straightener earlier on, right? And so that's kind of his straightener now. Though I don't think this is any kind of like last season we saw him go like too far into this, right, with the drugs and alcohol, and get like addicted again. I don't think that is what this is actually going to be down the road. This is obviously just a little bit of a help for what he's going through right now. But yeah, just a really, really funny moment here with Greg. This is the only scene he had in the episode. I was a little bit upset about that. I love Greg and Tom, man, like those scenes from season 1, probably my favorite scenes of the year last year in television. Awesome stuff. We don't get one in this episode, but I'm sure we'll get some later. Anyway, so that was really great. All right. So we see Logan and his banker have a dinner meeting, and the banker suggests that he sell the company and cave to the takeover deal. So he says, the banker says he's already in the toilet now, and even if he wins this, it could take months and even years down the road until he finally is able to win the deal, defeat Stewie and Sandy's attempt at the takeover. And by then, the banker, estimates that they'll be even farther down in the toilet, and, the company will basically be gone anyways. And so Logan seems to be against the idea, obviously, right? He's not ready to sell the company. He's not ready to cave, even though the banker suggests it. But then later, he texts his children to come to the house, or the Summer Palace, which is the name of this episode, to come to the house and discuss selling the company. So he kind of floats out the idea to the kids like it's an actual legitimate thing that he's considering, which obviously surprises a lot of the kids. And we see them kind of baffled in all their reactions, especially Kendall too, because this is all just really ironic for Kendall, right? He orchestrates this takeover deal, and then when he comes back over to his dad's side, now his dad's going to sell and actually cave into the takeover deal, and now Kendall's on the wrong side of things. So just kind of ironic for him. But we do see that Shiv and Tom's honeymoon is interrupted, and then we also see Roman's rocket explosion. He's at this news conference, and he gets the text, and then that's how he comes to find out about the decision, and then he goes to the house as well. Just hilarious stuff here with Shiv and Tom's honeymoon being interrupted. Tom was great in this one. Matthew McFadden doing an amazing job. And Roman's rocket explosion. I almost forgot about that at the end of last season. Kendall's accident in London was a big focus, but like Roman also like killed hundreds of people in this rocket explosion. I think it was, right? I think there was people in it. Anyways, he kills people in this rocket explosion that he just totally messes up on. And that's a big thing too. And I like that they showed that here. So as the kids arrive, there's a hideous smell throughout the house as it hasn't been lived in a while, or at least that's the impression we get. Just a hilarious comedic beat in this one. And this is also carried through like the whole rest of the episode. Just awesome. So Shiv and Roman talk about the state of things. Roman believes that he might be next in line since Kendall has fallen down. And we see Shiv is kind of supportive somewhat of Roman. We get the idea that it's kind of half-hearted. Roman calls her, an asshole and stuff like that. So he doesn't really buy it. Although in this scene, I kind of bought it. I thought Shiv was being legitimate here. But of course, later as we see, she's offered the CEO job, and she is just so enamored with it, and then she just takes it right away. So obviously we do know that here in this scene she was being a little half-hearted. But then we see Logan talks to Kendall about staying off the drugs and alcohol, or at least, that's not what's mentioned, but I think that's kind of the overlaying kind of tone of what and what that scene is supposed to be saying. It's just an awesome line here with Logan, who he says, "Good to have it all out then," right after this like 30-second conversation of, like you're not gonna do that. Yeah, of course. Like, there's like two little, dialogue, two lines back and forth, and then he's like, "Well, good to have it all out," and then he just walks away. So I thought that was really great. It shows the dynamic here between father and son at this point too, because obviously we know, Kendall's back on Logan's side, but only because of the accident, right? If that didn't happen, Kendall would probably still be on the other side of this takeover deal, taking his dad down. And so this relationship between father and son here was really great in exploring that last season. I'm hoping we see more of that. But that was just an awesome scene there. Good to have it all out. All right. So we see Colin, who's kind of the, fixer, if you will, for Logan and the Roys. So he briefs Kendall then about the scene and how he will not be implicated in the accident. And, just kind of going over the details here. They covered up a couple things to make sure that, they didn't think that someone else was in the car with him. It was just him, and he went off the bridge. And the terrible thing about this is that apparently his seatbelt was undone. And so the kid actually survived the fall and then ended up drowning in the car, which probably makes Kendall even, feel even worse about it. And, just like horrible news, right? Just horrible news there, which we didn't know beforehand. But anyways, so I thought here too, it's like, and I think some people's main problem with the show is that, that none of these characters are good people, right? Like, they're all terrible people. I need someone to root for. And I think that was one of my complaints at the very beginning of the season. But to me, honestly, with the way that they've taken this Kendall story, and especially in this episode, the way I saw this scene is like, okay, it's good news that he won't be implicated, right? But it's also terrible news. Like, this is a truly awful thing that Kendall did, and just represents like how awful he is as a person and how awful the family is for trying to cover this up. Yet I kind of feel bad for him. Like, I'm kind of rooting for him here and hoping that he doesn't get implicated in this. So it is really an interesting dynamic here that, audiences go through with watching the show. And I think that's what I really love about it. Even though some of these characters, they're not saints, right? You're not going to love them. But they're just so interesting to watch. And obviously Jeremy Strong is doing an amazing job as Kendall, and so that helps out as well. But yeah, just awesome stuff, and I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts on that too, how you see that as well, if you are rooting for him a little bit, or you feel like, no, he's an asshole, he really deserved to get caught there, and they're getting away with it. Anyways, well, I'd love to hear your thoughts. So then we also get a great scene here between Kendall, Shiv, and Roman. This is one of the best scenes of the episode, in my opinion, as we see Shiv and Roman's distaste for him after what he did. So he chooses not to tell them about the car accident when they continue poking him to tell them why he backed out of the deal, and this just makes them angrier. We see Shiv and Roman, Roman says, like, fight back, right? Because they're kind of swearing at him, calling him all these names and all that stuff. And Kendall's just not willing to tell him about the accident. So I thought that was interesting too, because they are his siblings, right? And they wouldn't obviously, they're not going to go out and leak that news. And so he's still not able to tell them then. So it really is Logan, I think Martha, Colin, and Kendall who know about this accident. That's pretty much it. And so it's definitely an interesting dynamic here between the siblings. But I do understand Shiv and Roman's distaste for him here. I mean, he tries to take down the family and tries to take down the dad, Logan, in this takeover deal. I would be pretty offended too if I was the sibling of the person that was trying to take down my own family, right? Almost like disowning him, like remove him from the family at that point. So I thought this was a really great scene, and I like Roman's little line at the end, like, you look like shit, by the way, but he really does, right? Like, Kendall does not look like himself, that's for sure, and we see that in the TV interview. So just an awesome scene there for sure. And then we see after the family all sits down at the table, including Connor and his girlfriend, we see Tom and Shiv, Kendall and Roman. Just hilarious that Connor and his girlfriend are there. I've read some reviews that Connor is going to be running like for president in this season, so really looking forward to that. But anyways, I thought just so funny, right, that his girlfriend is sitting at the table with the rest of them. I think Jerry also sits down, but she's not really there to voice her opinion as much. Anyway, so Logan opens up the floor, right, to his kids to tell them like what should they do, right? Should they sell the company or should they stay? and he essentially gets no success out of this, right? So we see Kendall sucks up to him, and so does Tom. Tom says Logan is in the prime of his life, and that a decade of him running the company is just what, I forget the exact line, but, you know, that would just be the best thing possible if Logan stayed on for 10 more years. So just hilarious. And then we see Roman making kind of the dick-sucking face. Just so funny here. You know, and Tom, right? It is so true. Like, he's sucking up. He wants to get the highest job in the company. We see him talking to Shiv about it. Just so funny. And Shiv is even playing him here, too, which is really, really funny as well. But also kind of disheartening, too. Like, you feel bad for the guy. And, of course, Kendall's going to suck up because of the circumstances. So, essentially, nobody's actually going to voice their opinions. We see Roman even say, like, you know, I'm not going to reveal my plans to all these people. So, anyways, so nobody will voice their true opinions. So, he calls them in one by one into his room. So, first we see Roman come in and tell him to keep the company and just simply scare off Stewie and Sandy. And it doesn't come off as very, you know, well-versed. You know, we see that Roman is a little bit unprofessional. And, you know, really not ready for a CEO position. You know, he says just Scooby-Doo it or whatever. So, you know, obviously a funny sequence, but obviously we get that idea of that, you know, he's not really ready for that job. And I think Logan recognizes that. We see his facial expressions just like, like, you know, like this is my son who's going to be CEO. And so we see this kind of play out. And then we get Shiv, and then Shiv comes in. And so, and we see the difference here, I guess the parallel, if you will, between Shiv and Roman, because they're really the two main choices right now outside of Kendall. The optics around Kendall wouldn't look that good, right? So it's really only Shiv and Roman right now, and we see the parallel between Shiv and Roman. And it's like totally drastic change between the two of them and their ideas and their plans for what they could do. And so then we see Shiv come in, and Logan offers her the CEO job, like almost right off the bat, just a minute into this conversation. After we see Shiv tells him to keep the company and offers some of her ideas for its future. And I think, again, right, we can see that she actually has legitimate ideas. She's thought about this, and Roman's over here just saying, like, we need to push news, right? And Shiv is like totally against that, says just drop news and all that stuff. So anyways, I thought it was really great. At first, she doesn't even buy it. Like, she doesn't even buy that Logan is actually offering her the CEO position. But then Logan threatens to sell right there and then if she doesn't take the job, as he only wants her to do it, right? So if she doesn't stay on, he's going to sell the company. That's it. Right, and obviously we see this a little manipulation, right? Logan threatens to tweet it out or something like that he's selling. It's just all manipulation, right, to get her to say yes to do it. So, of course, she agrees, right? So she agrees and accepts the job. We see she's, like, elated at this. Like, she's just, you know, crazy happy. She really just can't believe that Logan is actually offering her the job. And she still can't quite believe it, right? Like, she's still a little bit skeptical. Like, is this real? So I really like that. And they agree not to tell anyone about it yet. And Logan says once she has the experience and training, they will name her the active CEO of the company. So, and that means, like, she's going to take over for Logan, right? Like, and pretty soon, once she gets that experience and training. So, a really crazy sequence here, and one that really surprised me. And I will say, this is probably my one problem with the finale, is that I really thought she didn't want this job, though. I mean, you know, I thought the whole kind of mantra of her character arc in season 1 was that she wanted to get out of the family, focus on her political career with Gil, and just really separate herself from that Roy name, right? And this just, I just think this doesn't match her character arc from season 1, in that, you know, she's kind of elated and, like, she right away accepts the job of CEO. You know, she is skeptical, of course, but, you know, I just think it was a little bit off. I'm not sure that Shiv is you know, kind of the right one to just take the job right away. And we do see her reluctant at first and says, like, oh, there's no way I would take the job. And she, like, completely changes tune after Logan threatens. So, I don't know. I'm not sure I am in love with how this scene played out. But I will say that there is a possibility here, of course, that she has something up her sleeve, or Logan does in this situation. And we'll have to see how that plays out. But I do think there's something up here, because I don't think the show would just let Shiv take that take that role again after what we saw her in season 1. So I think she's got some plan, that she's going to turn Logan on, or Logan's got some plan where she's not actually going to be the CEO. Something like that's going to play out, and we'll have to see how that goes. But that's just my prediction right now, because I don't see Shiv being the CEO long-term in the show. I mean, Kendall is the right one to do it, but like I said, the optics just don't match that right now, and we'll have to see if Kendall somehow redeems himself and takes that job back. I don't know. We'll have to see. But anyway, it's a really great sequence there. So then we see to end, after this one plays out, Logan announces his decision at dinner to the family. He tells them that they are keeping the company and that they will be the last media firm left standing, just really doubling down, right? And we see him kind of like saying these things like ironically, right? Or kind of like, being cliche on purpose for saying some of these things. But yeah, just doubling down on this and saying, no, like, we're staying, we're not going to sell the company, we're staying with it, right? And then, like, probably the most interesting decision of the whole episode is he names Roman and Kendall interim co-CEOs for the time being while he fights the takeover deal. And so, against Stewie and Sandy. So I thought this was really great. And we see Roman's just like surprised by this. He's like, that's bullshit, right? And I thought that was just really cool. So again, maybe the optics don't matter here, right? Like, he names Kendall co-CEO for now, with Roman. And I found it interesting too. Like, Shiv is just not any part of this yet. But we already know that she is going to be the CEO eventually. And so I thought this was great. However, Logan doesn't reveal who he's picked as the successor just yet, even though we get some of them asking. I think Tom asks or something like that. He says he will keep it private with the investors, and this is the best part. So he says, it could be a stuffed shirt or it could be Jerry. Well, it won't be Jerry, but Jerry's fine for now. And he's like, just so we're clear, and then Jerry's, just like, yeah, I get it. Like, we're clear. So anyways, that was just awesome, right? Like, Jerry's reaction just priceless there in that scene. And then meanwhile, of course, in the background, we see Shiv just like nonchalantly smiling. I love that take. I think it was only like a couple seconds, but that take of her just smiling in the background once Kendall and Roman were named the co-CEOs, she knows in her mind that she is going to be the CEO eventually, and that Logan's like just screwing around with them. But of course, that's not out yet. Logan and her aren't going to tell them yet. So that Jerry joke was just so awesome. So you got to feel bad for her too, right? Like, she's kind of the brunt of a lot of these jokes as well. But anyways, she's great. So that is kind of where we end off there with that sequence. And then we get the very end, basically the last scene of the episode here, setting up really what the rest of the season will be. So we see Kendall go into the meeting with Sandy and Stewie after Logan tells him he'll be in a minute. Of course, he doesn't show up, right? Logan had no intentions of actually going in there, so he just sent Kendall in there to do his bidding, which also sets up for kind of an awkward situation for Kendall, which I think Logan put him in purposely, right, kind of as punishment for what he did. And so we see Stewie confront him right away, right, on like why he backed out, and he gives him the same line, my dad's plan was better than yours, or right, I saw your plan, I saw my dad's plan, and his was better. So that's kind of the ongoing thing that Kendall says, because that's what was on the card given to him at the very beginning. And so this is just kind of his line that he says, because of course he can't tell him the truth or anything close to the truth, right? So Stewie knows he's bullshitting. We see him just angry with him at this point, and I get it. I mean, Stewie was in it with them. Kendall was in it. He really wanted to do it. He orchestrated the whole thing, and then he backs out, right? So he then goes to talk to Sandy, and after Sandy tells him that they are not just willing to swap assets or half-ass this thing, but they instead want the whole thing. They want to buy the company, and they want Logan Roy to sell it to them. So Kendall tells them the message from Logan that there will be a fight, and that Logan will end up bankrupt or in prison before he lets them beat them. And then we see some other hilariously dark stuff here that Kendall says. He says, he'll send people, he'll try to kill you in business, and then if that doesn't work, he'll send people to kill you, to kill your pets, and fuck your wives and all that stuff. So just a really hilarious kind of dark humor there, but really funny. And Sandy is like not intimidated at all by this. He's just sitting there straight face, and he says, well, let's move ahead with that process, shall we? Right? And he's just ready for this. So I just thought it was really great line and just kind of a scene to end off the episode, just preparing for this dog fight that's going to take place this season between Stewie and Sandy with this takeover deal. So really great place to end off the episode here. All right, so in terms of a rating for this episode, I'm going to give this one a 4.8 out of 5. I thought this one was like damn near perfect. I really, really love this premiere. And like I said, that's quite a contrast because I thought the season 1 premiere was probably the worst episode of the season. And so I really am happy that they gave us a premiere like this and set up some really great things with this season. So I really forgot how good this show was. Like, honestly, I watched it last year. I'm like, okay, I was a bit surprised with the ending of it. And then just that finale really kind of blew it out of the water as they set off the top here. And I'm watching this and I just loved it. I really did. So really great to have it back and really forgot how really great this show was. And it really picks up right at the peak level that we left off on. I don't think there's really any difference here in terms of the writing, directing, acting, cinematography, like anything, right? I think it's all like right where we left off in the finale of that kind of peak of the show. We're like right back at that, or even maybe higher for this season 2 premiere. And that's something that you can't say for every show, especially going into a second season. Like, there are so many shows out there that have a great first season and then the writing falls off or the acting falls off or the directing style falls off. But this may even be better in this season. So these reviews out there that are saying season 2 is even better than season 1, they might be right. Given this episode, I would definitely believe that. It looks really, really great so far. The camera movements are just great. And this is something I forgot about the show as well. I love it. Like, I don't know another TV show. I'm sure there are lots of them. I've heard Mr. Robot does some interesting angles and takes like this too, but this is the only show that I watch, at least, that does anything remotely similar to this, and it's just so cool. Like, it's unique, it sets them apart, and I just love the style that they go for. I'm happy that they kept this, because I think in season 1, at times, they kind of, didn't do it as much as some other times. But this episode was all consistent the whole way throughout with these, and I just love them. I know some people find it a little frustrating with the zooming and the, constant stuff, but I love it. It's really awesome. It's the same style that The Big Short had, right, with Adam McKay, and he's not directing an episode this season, I don't think, but he did direct episode 1, and I think he kind of set the tone for the directing style with that, and I'm really happy, because I love it. So, the comedic beats were very well done in this episode. Like, really hilarious for a drama series, like, honestly, and it got nominated drama series for the Emmys. That is the only genre it says on, like, stuff like IMDb, Wikipedia, and all that stuff. But this show is so funny at times. I don't know, or at least for me, I just really get the humor. I think if you're not really into this type of humor, maybe you'd find it a little bit annoying, but I really love it. So I find this show really hilarious, and there was just some really great comedic beats and kind of shticks used in this episode that really, really hit it for me, for sure. And then Shiv getting CEO. That's kind of the last thing I want to leave this one off with, and I'm wondering what you guys think of that one. Again, a little bit skeptical on, is this actually the direction they're going to take it? I think either Logan or her have some up their sleeve, and this isn't going to turn out how we think it will, or at least how we think it will right now, right? But that's kind of my prediction on that one, but again, love to hear your guys' thoughts on that one. Favorite character then is going to be Kendall Roy for this episode. The first half of this episode, it was like almost all Kendall. I really liked the focus on him, and just the focus from like the beginning frame of this episode of Kendall, and then towards the end of the episode where we kind of end on him walking out. I really like that as well. And his character is probably going to be the most interesting one, and his character arc is probably going to be the kind of I would say it would probably get the most focus this season, and I think Jeremy Strong is just the actor for it. I think he does such a great job in this. He's from The Big Short as well. Loved him in that, and he does a great job in this. Something I keep seeing too, like his name is I think it appears second last or third last in the opening credits, and he's pretty much our main character at times, right? So it is kind of odd, that Jeremy Strong isn't as big of an actor as some of these other ones, or at least, his name isn't up there. But I think he's definitely, I mean, if he's not the best, he's definitely up there in the cast for this show. He's amazing, and I'm really looking forward to what he can do this season with Kendall. But anyways, guys, that'll just about do it for my review of Succession, Season 2, Episode 1. Again, love to hear your guys' thoughts on this one and what you think the season will look like going forward. And yeah, that's about it for me. So thank you guys so much for watching once again, and we'll see you next week for Succession Season 2, Episode 2.